To the Deeper Dive NBA edition. It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. Sorry for the late start. I had a wicked coughing fit immediately before the show, and before you start chiming in about cigarettes, no, it had nothing to do with that. I took a sip of water. I guess it just didn't go down right, Adam. You know the feeling.
Yeah. Like you said, I had forgotten about it, but it happened to me on air not that long ago.
I remember when you muted yourself. Yeah. So like that, I don't know, good 7 minutes. I thought I was going to die right now, but we're here now and it's good to be with you. We've got 6 games. Look at that. 142 likes already. You guys are the greatest. No, it wasn't. I swear to God, it wasn't a bong rip, dude. That's not happening before a show. You would not want that. I promise you that much. But I think we're good now. And Cantor, we're all worried about you, Laffy. I promise. Justin says quit vaping. Bro, I quit vaping a while ago. You haven't noticed? You haven't noticed? Come on. Man, have you not noticed?
Asking me?
Yeah.
I don't see our shows.
You wouldn't
so
notice because we don't really look at each. Yeah,
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
look at. But I used to, like a true clown, vape on screen, and that's over.
Yeah, the only reason I knew you did that was people commenting on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I looked super cool, but that wasn't what it was about. It's just an extreme addiction to nicotine. Anyway, this slate, 6 games, Adam. It is how do I say, underwhelming. But look, everyone has the same players. Everyone has the same $50,000 salary cap or whatever you're working with. So while it may not be a great slate, we're all working with the same thing and we're all looking for the same edge.
Yeah, and like Josh and I talked about it today, it's not even like there's not good players or players that you want to play. It's just that it's like the opposite of yesterday, where yesterday I knew that all the guys I was really high on, I was really, really confident that they were going to have good games. Today, there's just not as many guys to be confident in. There's surely not close to as much value, but slates like that it's not like they're bad because, while it's really fun to make lineups that you think are going to score 400 points, it's really hard to win tournaments those days. So it's kind of a trade-off.
All right. Rated R Superstar. Cough up some solid value plays, Laffy. Yeah, these guys are on point today. Oh, man. What else? Laffy, you got the popcorn lung. No, man. No, but that's scary. You know what that is, Adam?
I do not.
Like people were developing this lung condition from vaping, called it popcorn lung. No, it's not that. I literally just swallowed water wrong. That's all. I swear to God, that was all it was. I'm pretty open and honest with you guys. I'd have told you if I was, ripping a gravity bong in the bathtub prior to going onto a show. That's not the case. And I don't do that. Those are my high school days. All right, you want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, gravity bong with one of those big like boardwalk pretzel things, cut it in half, stuck it in a bathtub. Those were the days. Those were the days. Oh, and by the way, this show's sponsored by Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Stop. Deeper Dive, sponsored by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, home of the $250,000 NFL baller. And tonight, the 25K baller, 5K to first, $10 to enter. And you can get your $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points just by signing up through us at awesomeo.com. Click that NFL link right at the top. Go to articles. You'll see those primetime articles. They're free. And right there, you'll see the Yahoo link. Click it. Use the sign-up code AWESEMO, AWESEMO. Get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, as good as cash, to be used to play money and win money on the site. Check it out. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, sponsor of the Deeper Dive. And if you get in and check the lobby, you'll see some, not always, but some management-free contests where everything paid in by the player gets paid back out to the player. A lot to good stuff over there at Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. So check them out. Use that sign-up code AWESEMO. And we'll see if we can throw the link in YouTube chat right now. All right, Adam. Yesterday, we got a lot of likes when we said we were going to give away some free stuff, right? So let's see. What do you think we could go for? Because we got the NBA DFS rankings that are going to be made free, unlocked if we can hit it. What do you think we shoot for? 700?
I mean, we're already at what did you say? We're at like 200 already?
Let me see. We're at 300.
Yeah, go for 1,000. We got like 800 yesterday without the head start.
Yeah. All right. We want him to get it though. So like,
I mean, yeah, so it's basically 700. We already got 300.
all right, I'm going to go 8. Let's go.
All
We'll go
right.
800. Can we hit 800? Unlock the Awesemo NBA rankings today. You guys are killing it already. Let's dive into it. Charlotte and Indianapolis. Nope, that's Indiana. I'm not making a good case for myself. Charlotte and Indiana. A lot of like projected low scoring games today. And I did a bunch of research for the deep dive as always. Come across some interesting numbers. Let's start with Charlotte here. Adam, I'll give you the odds on this game first. You've got the Hornets as 3-point dogs here against the Pacers, 211.5 total, 107.3 implied total for the Pacers, 104.3 for the Charlotte Hornets. Starting with the Hornets, and then of course we'll get into some injury news with the Pacers. What do you make of Devontae Graham, who's actually looked like, one of the most competent players on this team recently? I know he's backing up Terry Rozier, but it almost feels like if he continues to play this way, leading the team in potential assists, pushing Terry Rozier for the team lead in touches, you almost feel like James Borrego is going to have to start giving him more minutes alongside Terry Rozier.
I mean, he's already getting a lot of minutes alongside him too. He's playing like 30 minutes a night. Rozier's playing like 34 in competitive games. So he's already really taken over a spot in the rotation. And that's good to see, but his salary also has adjusted, pretty quickly. Not that he's super expensive, but for the season, only a 20.5% usage rate. I have him with a 28.7% expected assist percentage. So I tonight have him projected for about 0.9 fantasy points per minute in 30 minutes, making him someone I'm not really that interested in.
Yeah. What about the rest? I mean, Terry Rozier, I guess, is relatively decent price. Cody Zeller's salary's coming up a bit. The Charlotte team in general doesn't have any studs. Like this is who they are. They're a bunch of guys that are going to produce, low 20s in usage. Once in a while, one or two of them is going to go off. And, more times than not, they're all going to have pretty modest performances outside, I guess, of Terry Rozier. What are you thinking here as a whole for this Charlotte team?
Mostly interested in Cody Zeller and Dwayne Bacon. Zeller was disappointing his last time out. He only played 20 minutes against Golden State, almost doubled in those 20 minutes. But I think assuming you get a competitive game here against a bigger Indiana front court, you can get around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more even out of Zeller. He's reasonably priced, has a 19.5% usage rate this year. The rebound opportunities have really been there for him, though, averaging 17 per game, which is really solid, especially because he's only averaged 29 minutes per game. He's also grabbing a really high percentage of those. So he's at 73% right now. I expect that to come down, but it's still a lot of opportunities for him. And he's still reasonably priced on a slate that isn't really that deep at center. And then Dwayne Bacon has seen his minutes kind of all over the place this season, but a lot of that's been due to foul trouble. And we've seen him play really big minutes in games where he's playing well that are competitive. I have him at 34 minutes today. I think that it could be, a little bit higher or a little bit lower, depending how the game goes. But he's been the second highest usage guy on the team this season behind Terry Rozier at 23.7%. He's relatively inexpensive, only 4,900 on DraftKings with guard and forward eligibility. So I actually think he's a pretty good option.
Okay. Top option from Charlotte would be?
Zeller.
Okay.
And yeah, Zeller and then Bacon.
I will tell you though, that price point on Zeller, like I think it's reasonable, but I don't love seeing it. I can tell you that much. Just for a guy like Cody Zeller, seeing him up above 6K, a little frightening.
Actually, I'll say Bacon a little bit ahead of Zeller just because he has half the ownership right now on DraftKings.
Okay, fair enough.
Talking about really close in terms of value.
You look at the Pacers, and there are a lot of spots where you wouldn't really feel good about going to Brogdon when his price comes up where it is. And maybe that's the case today. But when you line him up against other players that are similarly priced, let me give you Kemba Walker, for example, okay? And we'll get to Kemba in the next game. You line him up against a guy like Kemba. Well, he's way ahead of Kemba in potential assists, but he's actually second in the league with 19.3. He's third in drives in basketball behind Harden and DeMar DeRozan, 18.3. 91 touches per game, fifth in the league, 27% usage and 47% assist with 1.43 fantasy points per minute. So the volume is real. Now, I don't know what's going on with Sabonis and Turner, but when you look at Brogdon, forget about just the fantasy points. Actually look at how he's getting there. It is legit, and I don't see any two ways around it.
No, I agree with you. He has the highest usage rate on the team at 26.7%, 46.1% expected assist percentage, which is based on those potential assists that you mentioned. The only real concern I would point to is that we've seen him, we've seen games this year where he does play 35, 36 minutes, but we've also seen competitive games where he gets like 31 or 32. So it's tough to give him a median projection of 35 or 36 minutes like you can Kemba. But that being said, if I give Kemba 36 minutes and I give Brogdon 33, I have them projected for the exact same amount of DraftKings points. They're also basically the same ownership. So I would say the field is getting that right. But I think that they're both really good plays, and I don't think Brogdon is overpriced here. I think that the only argument you could really make that he is overpriced is based on like preconceived notions from what he did with Milwaukee. But even that, if you look at Milwaukee and look at what he did without Bledsoe or Giannis on the floor, which is more similar to this Indiana team than when they are on the floor, he still had almost a 26% usage rate then. So he's shown that he can produce. He's shown that he can take on a scoring role when he needs to. So I don't think that really anything he's doing this year is fluky.
I don't think it is either. There's nothing to suggest that anything he's doing is fluky. Do you think Sabonis and Turner play?
I have it. I have Sabonis in and Turner out. I have no idea. I'm guessing one of them does, one doesn't. Also, it's the front half of a back-to-back, so it would make sense to just hold Turner out until tomorrow. But obviously, that's the biggest news on the slate that we're waiting on.
All right. I don't know if they're going to play either. If I had to guess, I would think Sabonis, yes, Turner, no. But
that's what I have.
Yeah, me too. What do you think though of? And we can get into the other guys here. But what do you think of Goga Patadze? I'm going to struggle with that one.
Yep.
What do you think of him? He played 19 minutes last game, fouled out. He actually came back for a rotation to end the second quarter and the fourth quarter with like 3 minutes left in the quarter and in both quarter. And I think he got like 15 seconds in before picking up his third and then his sixth foul and fouling out. He was on pace for 26 minutes. He played 25 minutes off the bench in the game before that. Fouls have clearly been an issue just in those couple of games, but he has also been very productive on a per minute basis. Let's say Sabonis plays and Turner is out. What's your interest in someone like Patadze?
A lot will have to do with his projected ownership, because this is something I was talking about in Slack earlier. There are some value options where they're just locked in the minutes and there's no real downside risk. Like looking at someone like Bruce Brown last night, unless he like gets in foul trouble or something, he's playing huge minutes. That's not the case with Goga here. Like he played 25 off the bench the last game that Sabonis played. And the fact that they closed with Sabonis alongside him and played so many minutes together, and we already know that they're comfortable playing Sabonis at the 4, that all works in his favor. And it means that he could get another 24, 25 minutes. But that was also a game against Cleveland where Indiana before the game had made a point of saying that they needed to get big guys in their front court and really work to out rebound the team that had Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson. Now you're talking about a smaller front court that has PJ Washington at the 4. They could go with Goga plus Sabonis, or they could just play Sabonis more minutes at center and give more time to TJ Leaf, or play smaller with McDermott or Holiday or whoever. So there's still downside risk there where he just gets fewer minutes than we're projecting. There's just a wide range of outcomes. So if Turner is ruled out and our projected ownership is really, really high, which I think that it would be just because of the lack of value on this slate, then I'm not opposed to just taking on some other risky plays at lower ownership. If his ownership isn't high, then I do think that he's one of the higher upside options because he is productive and he does have a path to those 24 to 26 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't really disagree with anything you said there. Ownership will mean a lot. By the way, we're at 588 likes, got 1851 watching. 800 may have been a high mark, but I don't think it's that difficult to get 800 likes on this one to unlock the free Awesemo NBA rankings for tonight. They'll be free at awesemo.com. We hit that 800 mark for anyone just tuning in. All right, I'll leave that alone for a while. Anything else for Indiana stand out?
Mentioned Brogdon. So if Sabonis plays, I think he's a really good option.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would prefer that he's playing a bunch of minutes at the 5, which wasn't the case even with Turner out. But still, should see probably the second highest usage rate on the team behind Brogdon. He's going to get a lot of rebound chances. He's a good facilitator. So I still think Sabonis would be a good play. He'd be my second option behind Brogdon. And then you get to Jeremy Lamb, who should play somewhere, 32 to 34 minutes. He has a 20.5% usage rate this year. His rebound numbers have gone up a bit. He's a reasonable option. He's a little more expensive than I would like, and I would rank him behind Brogdon and Sabonis.
Okay. Talking about Cleveland and Boston, here's an interesting one because there is no Jaylen Brown. You've got a 215.5 total, 110.8 implied total for Boston, 104.8 for the Celtics, or for the Cavs. Cavs are 6-point dogs at home. It's funny. I had mentioned to you maybe last week because Cleveland's played 6 games. I think 3 games into it, I said, man, 4 games, sorry. Kevin Love's usage has been really low, and he's rebounding like just a monster. Well, it's funny because he was actually averaging a double-double in the first half of games. Not even Andre Drummond was doing that. Through the first week, only Kevin Love was averaging a first half double-double. And that was on low usage. We've seen it come up recently, Adam. He's now attempted 34 shots and 10 free throws over his last 2 games, 22 threes over that stretch, 35 minutes in each. So, there was some concern of mine that, what, are they just trying to get these young guys more involved? Doesn't seem to be the case. Him and Tristan Thompson are coexisting nicely. The question here, though, is what price is too expensive for Kevin Love? $8,800 on DraftKings, $9,400 on FanDuel, and on Yahoo, he's $35, which is a lot more reasonable than anywhere else.
Yeah, I still think the salary is fine, though. He's playing big minutes. It's not like we're seeing his minutes limited. Playing 34 to 36 minutes in competitive games, monster rebounding numbers, the usage rate increasing, as you said, and just not a ton of great plays on the slate. So it's not like the opportunity cost is that high. There's certainly guys that I like a little bit more than him, and not that much more expensive, especially like Davis and LeBron on DraftKings. But I do think that Love's a good play here, just because he is playing big minutes. He's getting so many rebound opportunities. It's not like this Boston front court's particularly scary defensively anymore either. So Love is pretty easily my favorite player on the Cavs.
Yeah, I don't really think that's in question. What is in question is, do you look towards, of course, with Kevin Porter Jr. suspended, do you look towards Larry Nance? Like, what type of minutes do you think he gets? Does he get enough to get to become viable? And I think that the problem I have there is, yes, but his price tag is also at a point where you're not really getting good value on him. I definitely think he's fine, but it is a good Boston team. I don't know if I like Nance as much as others do, but he's fine, just not a top option for me. And then you've got guys like Sexton and Clarkson and a bunch of other names. A priced up Tristan Thompson. I know he's been fantastic. Still not sure I get there tonight. What are you doing with the rest of the Cavs?
So with Nance, I actually want to kind of take back what I said about Love. Love's my favorite Cav on DraftKings by a lot. On FanDuel, I prefer Nance. He's $5,000 at small forward. I have him playing 27 minutes. I have him averaging about 0.95 points per minute, which isn't a great score, but it's a decent value at a weak small forward position on FanDuel. So I think he grades out as the best Cavalier play there.
Yeah, and third highest projected ownership currently on FanDuel is going to Larry Nance.
Yeah, I don't know that I like him that much, but
that's all. That's what I was saying. Yeah,
right.
I have no problem with him whatsoever, but the highest owned small forward by a mile.
Yeah, if I look at my value rankings for small forward on FanDuel, I have Gordon Hayward ahead of him. I have Cam Reddish slightly ahead of him, and then I have Nance. So he's my third small forward, not my third highest player on the slate.
Is there anything else for Cleveland?
No, one of my least favorite teams on the slate.
Yeah, as usual, right?
Yep.
How about the opposite side? I want to talk about Kemba and talk a little bit about Jason Tatum as well. Jason Tatum, man, he's just taken a huge step forward in terms of offensive responsibility this year. Usage went from 22 last year to 27 this year. Field goal attempts from 13 to 20 per game. He's averaging 35 plus minutes. 1.14 fantasy points per minute. 31% usage in 112 minutes with Jaylen Brown off the court too. So per minute production's only gone up to 1.19, and it's not a huge it's not a huge sample, but Jaylen Brown is still a higher usage guy than say Marcus Smart. So I do think it helps him. But again, and I think one of the reasons this slate to me wasn't appealing, maybe you'd agree, is a lot of these mid-range guys were priced like not at their ceiling, but pretty close. I don't think Tatum's there, but at 7,700 on DraftKings and 83 on FanDuel, you at least have to think.
Yeah, I do think this Boston team is one of the most appealing spots on the slate, though,
Agreed.
because
but they're all, what I'm saying is they're all accurately priced.
yeah, I think a little bit low, but
yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I have Tatum as one of the better values on DraftKings. I have Hayward as one of the better values on either site. Kemba, I think, is a little bit underpriced for the matchup.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. It's just that with Jaylen out, these guys are playing so many minutes. You get a little bit more usage for guys. You get a little bit more in the way of playmaking responsibilities, rebounding. Like it's just a competent player in all aspects that isn't on the floor now. And it's a good matchup against Cleveland, who's not a good defensive team. In terms of Kemba specifically, Cleveland's been the fourth least efficient team defending the pick and roll this year, which is Kemba's always one of the league leaders in pick and roll possessions. The downside to Kemba is that he doesn't pick up assists like other point guards do. He's nowhere near someone like Malcolm Brogdon as far as those opportunities go. He's nowhere near LeBron, obviously. But I think it's a good scoring matchup for Kemba. I think that you get 36 minutes in a competitive game. So I have Tatum and Hayward as my top two Celtics, followed by Kemba. You get a little bit of value with Daniel Tice. He's a better play on FanDuel than DraftKings because he's $600 less expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. But even with Robert Williams back, I'm expecting 26, 27 minutes out of Tice.
So you don't think his minutes go down at all?
Not really. He played a game with Williams already and played, I think, like 27 minutes.
Yeah, for some reason I thought Williams was in foul trouble in that game, but I could be wrong. I thought he was in early foul trouble, but we could look that up. It might not make a difference. You could be spot on. We'll see. I think
Williams also played 22 minutes in that game. So
okay,
I think like around 26 minutes for Tice is pretty reasonable.
Then that would make him a decent enough play. I also think his value is very contingent too on what happens in that Indy front court because that could change a lot.
Right.
And also, if you have any interest in Alex Len, we'll get to that game in just a second. I do like Kemba here. And I think, if there was one guy that, given the circumstances and matchup, might be a little underpriced, it probably would be Kemba. Usage is right around where it was last year. Have you seen his assist rate, though? A little bit concerning. Only averaging, I think, 10 potential assists per game. Of course, they're only converting 35% of those into actual assists. So I do expect that to improve.
Yeah, I was going to point out he has an 18.1% assist percentage this year. I have him with a 23.4% expected assist percentage based on his opportunities.
Exactly. 35% or 36% of your potential assists, converting them is not great. So it's not really his fault. I expect it to come up. But if you were to play Brogdon over Kemba, I honestly wouldn't have a huge issue with it, even though I know Kemba has had some equally impressive games. I think, put it this way, I think they're pretty close today.
I have them both projected for 43.2 DraftKings points.
There you go. Okay, there you go. Right. I mean, they're that close. Anything else from this game?
No, I don't think so.
San Antonio and Atlanta. Spurs are not big favorites in this game, as a matter of fact. I'll refresh just to make sure that it hasn't changed significantly. But last time I looked, they're 5.5 point favorites. That's really not that much. Sure, they're on the road, but this is a young Atlanta team that just lost John Collins for violating the NBA's anti-drug program. He was smoking crack. No, it was a hormone growth something, peptide releasing. I don't know. 221.5 total. 113.5 for the Spurs, 108 for the Hawks. This game has the highest total on the slate, actually. I was going over some numbers. We'll get to Atlanta, but I want to start with San Antonio.
We just got Indiana news.
Oh, go ahead.
Sabonis out, Turner out.
Oh, wow. All right.
Jakar Sampson and Goga both staying in the starting lineup.
All right. So Goga becomes one of the top values on this slate.
Yeah. So everything that I was explaining about his ownership and downside minutes, blah, 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 just ignore that because they're Sabonis and Turner both out. He, barring foul trouble or fouling out of the game, he has to play minutes.
Yeah. Jakar Sampson's minimum salary. He's an absolutely dreadful per minute guy, and I don't expect him to eclipse 20 minutes, but I'll ask you about him anyway, just because he is the bare min.
Yeah. I mean, he played 19 minutes against Chicago with that start. He only played
10 minutes. The game before that was 10 minutes, if that's what you're looking for.
No, I was going to say he only played about 6 minutes in the first half.
Okay.
He played he didn't play at all in the second quarter. But yeah, I mean, I think that you can probably project like 20, low to mid 20s. TJ Leaf played 22 minutes off the bench. Leaf was a direct beneficiary of Goga's foul trouble, though. So I don't feel real confident giving him 22 minutes again. Also, we're waiting on Doug McDermott news there, which is surprisingly big because that's more front court minutes that could be available.
Okay. Enes Kanter officially ruled out, by the way, as well.
Cool.
But man, I was shocked by, not shocked because you saw this to some extent, but I was kind of surprised by what has happened to DeRozan with DeJounte Murray on the court this year. Now, not a ton of minutes, but I want to use this year's numbers. I'm just going to read them to you because it's pretty wild. 94 minutes he's played with Murray this season. DeRozan has a 26% usage rate, 13.5% assist rate, and 6% rebound rate, 0.89 fantasy points per minute. 106 minutes played with Murray off the court. DeRozan's rates go from 26% usage to 30.3. His assist rate goes from 13.5 to 27.7. His rebounding goes from 6% to 8.9, and his per minute production goes from 0.89 to 1.12. Now, it's a small sample. I'm not saying that I expect DeMar DeRozan to see that huge of a hit all season long, but there is no questioning at this point. DeJounte Murray is going to have a significant effect on DeRozan, even if he doesn't continue to play at such a torrid pace. This kid is good, and he's only the upside for DeRozan right now is that Murray's been limited to 23, 24 minutes, so he's still getting some run with Murray off the court. But man, when Murray's minutes limit is lifted, that could really hurt DeRozan. It already has.
Yeah, I think you can throw Aldridge into that conversation too.
Absolutely.
Because, Aldridge's rebounding numbers and assist numbers are down this year as well, as is his usage. So, yeah, I think that Murray's hurting them both. The flip side,
you know
who
Murray said his idol was growing up?
Who?
Russell Westbrook. Does it surprise you?
No, it doesn't.
I just made that up, but he feels like he's doing Russell Westbrook type stuff.
I was just trying to figure out in my head how old Westbrook actually is.
I was thinking you would try. You're like, wait, they're 4 years apart.
Yeah, and I didn't know how old Murray was either, but
neither. He's 23.
Okay, yeah. But so basically it's not, I think he does legitimately hurt DeRozan and Aldridge. The flip side of that, though, is that the salaries have clearly adjusted, especially on DraftKings, where $6,800 for LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm going to guess, is one of the cheapest price points we've seen on him in ever. So, I think that they're both underpriced. It's just that it's not shocking if they fail like it would be last year. But I still think that even when you factor in the effect Murray is having, that they both, Aldridge and DeRozan, both project to be solid options at 75 and 6,800.
Yeah, it all comes down to that price point. And
also, Jabari Parker defending LaMarcus Aldridge is a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, DeRozan right now, ownership on FanDuel around 28%, ownership on DraftKings 17%. On Yahoo around 24%, but there's a lot of value on Yahoo, more than there is on DraftKings or FanDuel. So if you didn't want to get there, I don't think you have to. And he's $33. But yeah, look, I think because of the salaries, they're fine. I'm just not enamored with these guys right now for as long as Murray's going to be, soaking up as much offensive responsibility as he already has.
Yeah, and rebounding as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything else for San Antonio though? Like outside of DeRozan and Aldridge, does anything pop off the page at you? And do we have confirmation? I don't know if Derek White is in or out yet. I don't know how much difference it would make if he's out. You'll probably just have a couple guys plug the hole because I doubt Murray's gonna soak up any additional minutes given that he's been restricted anyway.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is if White's out, you could see Patty Mills go from, like 20 to 24 or something
Right.
like that.
But I think it'll get
Um,
spread around a little bit.
yeah, I was going to say that I think Murray is an okay tournament option just because he's so good on a per minute basis. But right now we have him projected for 10% ownership on DraftKings. And knowing that they're not playing him more than 24 minutes, there's only like so much he can do in 24 minutes. So I don't think he's a great play. I think 10% seems fine.
All right. How about Atlanta? John Collins out 25 games. Man, Trae Young has already seen just hulking usage and funny guy, Josh. He's already seen a ton of usage and now that should only increase. What do you think about this spot though? With Greg Popovich always having done a great job of taking, opposing teams' top player out of the game. The way I see this with Trae Young though is even if you try to do that, and I'll preface this with LeBron, AD, Jokic are all on this slate, and we're going to get to all of them and quite a bit of those guys I really like. But you could try to take Young out of this game. I think volume alone is probably going to propel him to at least decent numbers, given that he was jacking up 20 plus shots with ease each and every game.
Yeah, that, and he's also a great passer. So
Yeah.
he's just so involved in this offense. I don't think that Collins being out makes a huge difference for him. It probably hurts his efficiency just as much as it helps, any usage. Like his usage can only get so much higher. So I think that he's still a really good option though. San Antonio actually is 12th in pace so far. They're in the middle of the pack as far as defensive efficiency goes. It's not like it's the really slow plodding San Antonio team that it used to be. So that certainly doesn't hurt. I think that I was really excited earlier in the day when Trae Young was not getting much projected ownership. He's come up a lot, and I think that's correct. I think that he is a really good option. He's my favorite option from Atlanta, even including Jabari Parker.
I love him. I wrote him up in the deep dive. Of course, that was also before we had the ownership update. So a little bit more interest there. But I just don't see any way this dude doesn't have like 40% usage going forward. What about Jabari Parker? I think we're both projecting him for around 30 minutes. He had been backing up Len at times and backing up Collins, depending on which rotation it was. It's hard to project him for less than 30 here, right?
Yeah, it's hard to project him for less. I think he could get more. He's, like you said, he's played a little bit at the 5, and San Antonio, it's not like they're a big front court with Aldridge there. So you could see a closing lineup with Parker at the 5. For now, I have it projected that it's just, Len, Fernando, and Jones. But even with 30 minutes of Parker, he's projected high enough for me that I know I'll get there, and there's just upside for more minutes. So I do like Jabari. His rates this year have been down a bit. Rebounding's been down. The assist percentage has been
Jabari
down.
Parker confirmed starting.
Okay, perfect. But he has such a long track record of, being a guy that gets some assists that, and he's in a good spot to get rebounds. So I'm not too concerned by his stats over the first 5 or 6 games, whatever it's been this season. We know he'll be second in usage behind Trae Young as well. And he's just cheap enough on a slate with very little value that I'm not too concerned about him.
I mean, look, for his career, he's a .92 fantasy point per minute guy. Got no problem with that. .95 this season. I think it's perfectly fine to go to quite a bit of Bart Parker. Now, you're not getting him at a huge discount, but
right.
I still like him. Outside of him, though, this is when you get into the DeAndre Bembry and the Cam Reddish and the Kevin Huerter. I think Huerter probably gets a little bit more than 26 he saw last time, but these are low usage guys. And thoughts on them? And then, of course, Alex Len, who's probable to play. You really never have any idea what you're going to get from him, even if he does see some extended minutes. Do you have anything else other than Jabari Parker and Trae Young that aren't like hardcore peripheral, like tertiary options?
No, that's all that I feel good about. Like the other guys are cheap enough where if you're playing 150 lineups, you'll get them in some lineups, but there's nobody that I think stands out as like the clear guy that you want. Like Cam Reddish could play well. I have no idea. Bembry, same thing. Hunter probably won't because he's bad, at least on the offensive end. But the point just being, like, I did set a rule in Fantasy Cruncher. Like, I don't want more than one of like DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Bembry, because I think that it's really unlikely you get a really big game from more than one of these guys.
I'm with you. Look at that. 884 on the likes. Unlock that shit. Awesemo NBA rankings over at awesemo.com. Check it out. It's free. Appreciate you guys. And awesemo.com/join if you wanted to check out Awesemo Plus or one of our express packages for $3.95 a week. You can get 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus membership just by using the sign-up code DEEPERDIVE, all one word. Go to awesemo.com/join. Scroll to the bottom too. If you're new to the site, if you're new to our YouTube streams, you can see what all of our tools do. We got video tutorials on all of that before you jump in, and also ask you a 1-question survey on what type of player you are, so we can kind of cater the package to you before you open your wallet and dive in head first. We want to make sure you're not getting too little and not getting too much for what you want to do here in the DFS world. So use that sign-up code DEEPERDIVE, get 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus membership, or check out that Express Pass for $3.95 a week. Dip your feet in a little bit, join the Awesemo family, and say what's up in that premium Slack chat when you do. We will show you around. I haven't used that one in a while. That's a good one. Adam.
I wasn't listening.
I know. I'm screwing with you. I know. Because you actually probably have like an internal timer that you tune out at the start of it and tune back in at the end of it.
Yep. I was just reading news, waiting for you to finish.
So let's talk about OKC and Orlando. Honestly, outside of maybe 2 players in this game, I don't really have much. Fultz remaining in the starting lineup is solid. Look, the hype was not real. Unlike the Popeyes chicken sandwich, where the hype is totally real, and it was phenomenal. I ate one for breakfast this morning.
That sounds healthy.
I bought a regular one and a spicy one yesterday. I only ate one. I got up before I did the 11 a.m. show. I got up early, so it was a brunch. Put it in the microwave and ate it. I felt awesome. But no, they're truly delicious. The hype is real. It's not real with Markelle Fultz, but he is getting chances at least at him. And I don't know. I think if he plays well, he'll probably get more than 25 minutes. If he doesn't, as he didn't last game, he'll probably get 25 minutes. So I don't know. He's a cheap body, and he's there, but it's a tough matchup, and he really hasn't looked great.
Yeah, tough matchup. Only a 100 team total for Orlando. Also, Michael Carter-Williams is available, so that's one more body that's been in their rotation. We saw a tighter Orlando rotation last game. Wesley Wundu didn't get any minutes. Carter-Williams was still out. But with him back, it's an even more difficult path to minutes for Fultz, because you assume DJ Augustine's still going to get his 22 to 24 minutes. That only leaves so many for Fultz if they're not going to play much alongside each other. So, at 4K on this slate, it's not like it's a bad play, but it's not one that I'm prioritizing or getting too much of.
Okay. Hey, this chat's you guys got me all wrong. You got me all wrong. What about anything else for Orlando? Vooch, Gordon, anything?
Not really high on the team at all, but I think Vooch and Fournier are the 2 best plays from the Magic. Fournier actually leads the team with a 27% usage rate this year. I expect that to come down going forward. It's more or less the same team as last year, and he had a 22.5% usage rate. But, he is getting his shots in this offense, but still just not playing huge minutes. I have him at 28 minutes tonight. I Vooch at 34. Vooch hasn't been shooting well this year. That'll come back up, but, also just nothing more than a secondary play for me.
Okay. The other side, you got your boy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's played very well this season. And ever since that price point came up a lot, it really hasn't budged all that much, Adam, which is pretty encouraging. And he's played well. I mean, has he been spectacular? Not spectacular, but for a 7K guy, yeah, he's been good. And he's got a 26% usage rate. 17% assists, 10% rebounding. So across the board, there's nothing amazing, but the minutes have been significant, man. 36 plus minutes in all but one game this season. That was a 28-point win over Golden State. So you're getting 20, in a close game you're getting 36 minutes from him and probably 25 plus % usage rate.
Yeah, leads the team in usage. The peripherals could be better, but he does have at least 7 rebounds in all but one game this season. He gets, enough assists where it adds a little bit more value to him. And the minutes are huge, like you said. Whenever you can count on 36 minutes from someone who is in the high 6Ks or low 7Ks, that's pretty valuable. And it's not a good matchup. Orlando's slow. They're a pretty good defensive team, but there's only so many options on this slate in the mid range. So I do think Gilgeous-Alexander is a really good play.
Anything else from this team?
Steven Adams, he's questionable. That's probably the biggest piece of news that we're still waiting on, since Nerlens Noel would be a great value option if Adams sits. But Adams did go through a full practice yesterday, so I'm projecting him in right now. I have him at 30 minutes, and he's just not really expensive. He's $600 less than Cody Zeller on DraftKings, for example. And with him being questionable, the ownership will be down. It's not like you're taking on a huge risk if you're playing on a late swap site. You're not taking on a huge risk by putting him in, because you can very easily just swap him to Nerlens Noel and then figure out what to do with your remaining salary afterwards if we get him ruled out after lock. So if we don't get news, I'm projecting him in, and I think he's a good tournament play.
Derek Jordan says McChicken sandwich for the win. Dude, he should be banned from the YouTube chat for saying that. Absurd. If you're not going with Popeyes, at least go with Chick-fil-A. I would actually go with Eric Washington. Yeah, Eric, Josh already pointed that out to me. The answer to your question, though, no, sir, I'll pass, but the offer is greatly appreciated. All right, Chicago and the LA Lakers. Let's keep this one rolling. We got 2 games to go. And then coming up next, it's Live Before Lock with Chris Randone and Fast Eddie Fear. All right, so 2 games to go, Adam. Here we have the Chicago Bulls, the LA Lakers. Lakers 7-point favorites on the road, 216.5 total, second highest on the slate. And they have a 111.8 total, 104.8 for the Bulls. What do you think about LeBron James and Davis? Before you answer, can I just point out something insane, right? Davis has a usage rate of 32.8%. LeBron at 32.3%. The next closest is Kuzma at 20%, and then Quinn Cook at 15%. So there is a 13% drop in usage from the 1 and 2 guys down to the 3, and then a 17% drop in usage from the 1 and 2 guys down to the 4. There's nobody else in the starting lineup with a usage rate above 15, Adam. Like, the reason, why do I point this out? I'll tell you why. Because people get worried that, Davis is playing alongside James or James is playing alongside Davis. They're doing everything, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. And people ask, if you can roster them in the same lineup. On FanDuel, I don't think it's like you can, but it's not my favorite.
The price point's insane on FanDuel.
Right. They're so expensive.
You don't like them both.
Right. They're so expensive on FanDuel that you really do need, monster games from both of them. Whereas DraftKings, that would be really nice. But if you get like 60 a piece, which is not crazy at all for either of these guys, it's still going to be 2 of the best plays on the slate. So
those salaries are out of control on DraftKings.
Yeah, so I have no issue with them alongside each other on DraftKings. I don't like it as much on FanDuel. On DraftKings, they're 2 of my favorite plays, obviously. On FanDuel, they are as well, but I do think that LeBron is a better play than Davis on FanDuel just because of the positions. When you scroll through the small forward options and start to think about, in terms of raw points, who here can score like 40 plus and make it so LeBron isn't someone you have to have in your lineup, it's really tough to find those guys. Whereas at power forward, you do at least have some options that could get there. Not saying they will, but I think that there's an easier path to Davis being a luxury on FanDuel than LeBron.
Okay. Now talk to me about a subject that I would have preferred to avoid, but we can't. What, you know where I'm going to?
Everyone else.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Danny Green. I mean, it's just ugly, dude. And I know that there's some value there, but is there anything worse than punting with low usage wing players that have to play alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis?
Nope. I mean, KCP has a 13% usage rate this year. That is not going up the more minutes he plays with Davis and LeBron. You can argue he'll get better looks maybe, but he's just not going to have a huge role in the offense. Danny Green will have a little bit bigger role, but also, even with Avery Bradley out, there's just so many of these kind of replaceable guys where it's not like I think anyone's getting 36 minutes from like Danny Green or KCP unless they're playing extremely well. Like Alex Caruso is still in the rotation. Troy Daniels, Quinn Cook can pick up some more minutes again. I have KCP and Green both at 30 minutes. They're both really cheap, but still neither of them grade out as particularly good options for me. Kyle Kuzma is, I believe, 4K on FanDuel, which is okay. They said he can play up to 26 minutes tonight. We still haven't seen him even reach his previous minutes limit of 22. But, if he's going to play 26 minutes at 4K, that's fine. 5,100 on DraftKings is less appealing, though.
All right. Yeah, the whole spot there is really ugly outside of those two players. On the opposite side of this one, you've got Chicago, 7-point dogs at home. Any interest in, say, going Zach LaVine over DeMar DeRozan at lower ownership? I know the matchup is difficult. I know the Lakers are playing at a slow pace. You wouldn't be telling me anything I'm not aware of, but it does feel like from a ceiling standpoint, LaVine has a higher ceiling than DeRozan.
Yeah, because
maybe,
I think
maybe not. It's just.
Well, no, I mean, I think just the way the teams are set up, LaVine's more likely to be the one that goes out there and just shoots 30 something times.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really tough with Chicago right now because that LaVine can take over a game and go nuts. Markkanen can give you a monster game, but these Chicago guys just aren't playing big minutes, even in competitive games. Markkanen has a couple of games recently. He hasn't even closed because Thaddeus Young has. So it's really tough to project him for big minutes. I have him at 30. I have LaVine at 32. They have tournament upside, which I hate saying about guys, but that's how it is for these guys. But they're just not great, point per dollar projections because the minutes haven't really been there compared to other guys in their price range. Like you compare 32 minutes of Zach LaVine for $300 more than 36 minutes of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I have a really hard time saying I prefer LaVine.
Yeah. All right. What about the rest of Chicago? Anybody here for you?
Yeah, I think Otto Porter is a decent value. He's only 4,300. I have him at 28 minutes. The problem is that you have Kobe White playing behind him, so I think that makes it really difficult for Porter to play huge minutes since we haven't seen a whole lot of overlap between Porter and White. And White, his first-round pick has played well offensively off the bench. But I do think that Porter is just a little bit too cheap considering how little value there is on the slate.
All right. Want to head to the last game?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Miami, Denver.
Oh, wow. So I was laughing because Kevin Huerter will be limited to 30 to 35 minutes, but Trae Young limited to 30 minutes.
Oh. Well, that's big.
Yes, it is.
I mean, limited to 30 minutes. I had Huerter projected at 30, but I had Trae Young projected at a lot more than that. And you have to downgrade him quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I had him at 34 minutes, taking him back to 30. Now I have him projected for like 43 points instead of 50.
And what are his per minute rates? Like, what are you projecting him at from a per minute basis? Like 1.3 or something?
1.45.
Oh, all the way up to 1.45. Okay, so 1.45 across, 4 or 5 minutes is significant when you've got a bunch of other high-priced guys. So big news there. Keep that in mind. Miami and Denver. Adam, I'm not worried about Jokic. Now, that doesn't mean he's my top play today. Actually, both Lakers forwards are actually, one of them's a point guard now. But I'm really not worried. His usage last year was 27%. It's at 23.9% this year. I expect it to come up. And the reason is, not only does he lead the team in touches, potential assists, and rebound chances, forget about usage. That stuff's great. But when it comes to usage, nothing about this team has changed enough to the point where you say, all right, I can see why Jokic isn't doing what he did before. If you want to talk about the fact that they're the slowest paced team in the league, fine. But they weren't an up-tempo squad last year either. There just isn't enough for me to look at them and say, yeah, Nikola Jokic is, naturally regressing and we should become accustomed to seeing less production than last season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm viewing it the same way. We've also seen stretches over previous seasons where he's just not very assertive on the offensive end. There was also a really good thread from Harrison Wind, who's one of the beat writers for the Nuggets, talking about how Jokic was more aggressive offensively in their most recent game, in part because he was clearly looking to shoot more, but also the offense did a better job of getting him different looks and putting him in positions where he's not getting double and triple teamed in the post, where he's just immediately passing out of it. So I think that it seems like it's going in the right direction as far as that goes. And like you said, there's just nothing you point to on this team. Like adding Jeremy Grant isn't like taking usage away from what Jokic has done in the past.
Exactly.
So while his rates are down this year, I just would rather take the full sample that we have, like from last year through this year so far, than just look at these 6 games or whatever and be like, oh, it's not the same player.
Right. Exactly. I don't see anything that suggests it should be that much different. So,
Oh, and people are talking about him being fat and out of shape. When was he in shape?
dude,
Like,
yeah, I remember I said I remember I tweeted Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player that looks nothing like a basketball player.
right.
And people are like, what are you talking about? He's a 7-footer. It's like, no, I'm not talking about his height. He's just, he looks like, an out of shape, like marshmallow.
Right.
And
And yeah, like I phrased that wrong. Like he obviously is in shape, but I'm saying like when did he ever look like he was in shape?
exactly. That's
Right.
exact right. Like David Lee. David Lee just really was a marshmallow in every sense. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, appreciate all the likes. If you're in here and haven't done so yet, you appreciate the show, you want to help us out. Number one, the NBA rankings are already free. We unlocked them at 800. But get us to 1,000, baby. Do us that service. Give back as we give to you. Be a big family here on the Deeper Dive. Anything from Denver, and then I'll let you close it out with this Miami squad. But finish Denver first.
Yeah. A really nice pace up spot for Denver. Miami is 6th in pace so far this year. So we talked about Jokic being cheap. But also Paul Millsap's 4,800 or 4,700, sorry, on DraftKings. His minutes have fluctuated pretty wildly this year, but he has dealt with some foul trouble. He does run the risk of Jeremy Grant just stealing minutes as his backup, which is just the issue when someone has a good backup. But in a pace-up spot against a bigger Miami front court, I think that Millsap, in 28 minutes, if he gets 28 minutes even, I think he's a good value. So I do like Millsap quite a bit. Murray, if he's not going to be particularly popular, is always the guy that I like in pace-off spots because he's a good scorer. If he is really popular, then I usually come in under the field just because he's so scoring dependent.
Okay. Miami, let's close it out and turn it over to Live Before Lock. This team has Butler back, so things have changed. Bam Adebayo's price tag is rapidly increasing despite him playing really well, so I get it. Justice Winslow took part in shoot around. He should be playing. I don't know if he's officially ruled in yet, but we expect him to play. Do you like Miami here in a matchup with the slowest paced team in the league and a very good defense?
Least favorite team on the entire slate,
I'm
even
with
behind
you.
the Cavs. They're priced appropriately. Like they've played the entire season with the exception of one game with at least one of Butler or Winslow out. So it's not like they're cheap, and now you have both Winslow and Butler in. So basically everyone is overpriced by definition. And then you're playing the slowest paced team in the league, who is just a good team in Denver. They're my least favorite team on the entire slate.
Okay. Anybody? I mean, there
No,
really isn't, right?
I have nothing.
All right. Neither do I. It's as bad as it really is rough. And now that they've got all these healthy bodies or active bodies, it just makes it even worse. All right, man. Anything else? Any final advice before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Keep an eye out for Steven Adams news, obviously, and Derek White news.
Pretty fun show today, huh?
Yeah, entertaining.
Pretty fun. Thanks for sharing the experience with us, fellas. And thanks for the 1,000 likes. You guys are awesome. We'll catch you back here tomorrow on the Deeper Dive, presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Chris Randone, Fast Eddie Fia coming up next.